So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Mars, okay, in the fifth house. This is the house. As your Atmakaraka, AK abbreviated. What is the Atmakaraka? Atmakaraka is a planet with the highest degree, meaning if a planet is, whether it's at 29.32 degrees, okay, while the other planets are at 18, 16, 12, 6, 3, whichever planet is the closest to this point is the Atmakaraka. And we do not include Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, or Rahu and Ketu. Okay? So that means if your Mars is at 14 degrees as the Atmakaraka, that is true. Because rest of the planets you will see might be at 13, 11, 10, 9, 6, 5, 3, then 1.32 degrees. But Mars is at 14 degrees. That means it's becoming the Atmakaraka. Now, what is the difference? There's a difference between this and this Atmakaraka. This Atmakaraka is actually more mature. This one is 50% mature. Hardly I have ever seen Atmakaraka, which is like around 9 degrees. It'll be really rare for you to have all the planets below 10 degrees. Maybe it has happened. I haven't looked at it. But what happens is if Mars is at 14 degrees, that means you only have 50% maturity to accomplish your goals in this life that the soul wants you to accomplish. The maturity point is seen the higher the degree. Once you are above the 20th degree mark, soul is really mature. This is why you can even go and meet some highly, televised yogi. And if their Atmakaraka is low, you'll feel like, why are you saying all these things when you're a yogi, right? You have these particular concerns, right? So this is why it is important to understand these particular scenarios, how these, degree works in your life. And as always, if you do not know, if Mars is your Atmakaraka, which nakshatra it's in, which sign it's in, you can go to Astrology.com at this link here, where you'll find my full astrological report under shop section, including all my consultations, books, reports. Okay. So if Mars is the Atmakaraka in the fifth house, so what is the fifth house? Fifth house will represent children, education, intelligence. It will represent mantra. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see that. Mantra. Maybe I do need to have a smaller chart with more space on the side so I can write. Okay. And fifth house is many things. I can go in circles. Fifth house can be the gains of your spouse, because this is your spouse. From them, fifth house is the 11th. Okay. Fifth house can also be your ancestors, because it's ninth from the ninth. Fifth house can be the rejuvenation in your career or end of your career. Why? Because it's the 8th from the 10th house of your career. At the same time, fifth house can also be the spouse of your elder sibling, because it's 7th from the 11th house. So we can keep going and going. But what happens with this particular Mars as the Atmakaraka is that a person is going to be one of those people who will take charge of the fifth house. They'll be the first one. Like, also remember, fifth house is also sports, fun, romance. You're talking somebody who will take a very strong approach to approaching a person for romance, creating powerful relationships in their life. They'll be the first one to make sure that the children have done their homework. Or life will ask you to do this. You may not do it if Mars, like I said, is at a lower degree, maybe at 13 degree as the Atmakaraka. You'll do it, then you'll slack on it. But here, Mars as the Atmakaraka, the higher the degree, you'll be like, oh, no. You're not slacking. I'm going to sit with you and do this homework. Oh, no, 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 no. You're not slacking in your sports. I'm going to go and play the sports with you, show you, and I'm going to get an extra coach for you. I'll be there at all the games for you. The intelligence of this particular person, first of all, is very impatient, aggressive, assertive, but also gets strongly influenced. The intelligence here gets strongly influenced by male friends or younger brother or your uncle from your father's side, like your paternal uncle. Anytime they say something, they advise you something, it kind of like gets embedded and ingrained in your consciousness, subconsciousness. Like, yeah, that's how the life is. Yeah, this is how this thing works. And then whenever some conversation comes in, you will always say, no, 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 this is how it works. This is how it will work. Because that's what you heard from these people. So your intelligence always, if they say this is right, you'll start to think, yeah, this is right. If they say this is wrong, you'll start to think this is wrong. In a female's chart, obviously we see, because Mars is the Atmakaraka, female will have a very strong masculine nature. Even if it's in a feminine sign, she will be that lady that takes care of the whole household. Nothing goes past by her. You can lie to this lady. You can lie to this wife or this mother. She'll catch you. She'll set up all the rules, regulations, policies within the home. Also with Mars in the 5th house, okay, you will see usually with this particular Atmakaraka, Mars shows that it's time for grandmother to leave, grandmother to pass away. So it's your coming that helps her to escape. Okay, and I'm talking about paternal grandmother. You will see part of your responsibility as the Atmakaraka, because it's the soul's karma that needs to be burned, is going to be towards in-laws. You're going to protect in-laws somehow. Whether you're going to take care of their health, whether you're going to help them with their business, their jobs, or they're having some issues with someone, some third party, you'll get involved. Now, how good will you be when you get involved? That, of course, we have to see what sign Mars in, who's aspecting Mars, who's conjunct Mars, what ascendant you are, and especially what degree. Can you handle all that responsibility? Okay, are you here or are you at this particular junction of your soul's journey? That will show how this Mars is going to react. Okay, Mars will also show one will get injured in sports, and those injury will somehow teach you a lesson. See, everything is going to be, the 5th house is going to be a lesson. Like especially the female in this chart will actually become very adamant, especially if Mars is in a fixed sign, she'll be asphyxiated on wanting to have a C-section, not wanting to do what do you call natural birth. Unless, of course, Jupiter aspects Mars, then she may want to go through natural birth. Because Jupiter is nature. So if Jupiter was here, okay, Jupiter is nature. Jupiter is going to be looking at Mars with its 5th aspect. Jupiter is saying, whatever you're trying to do with the 5th house, do it more naturally, because I am nature. Okay. But also, this particular Mars in the 5th house also shows one becomes a strategist in their education. One will strategize. One will make a whole plan. How I'm going to approach this lesson, this course, and how I'm going to pass all these exams. So intelligence works very logically, very statistically, but also very forcefully. Like this person is ready to go. They're like, let's do it. They're those type of people. Let's do it. Okay. But also the other thing we see with Mars in the 5th house, very little, okay, expenses. This person will create the most minimal expenses, especially by the time they reach their 30s. And they will not give so much donations. They'll have their own philosophy. They'll be like, no, I don't need to give donations. You make it your own way. That's what happens. Also with this Mars, you would have seen right after your birth, father's paternal property would have either been sold or divided. Okay, so either would have been divided or would have been sold. So this is where you're going to see this Mars working. Okay, so anyway, guys, If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. Shoot amazing top of videos if you want to know where your Mars is placed along with all your astrological details. Check out the links here, chaosastrology.com. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.